Welcome to Commodity Wrap Kickoff, produced by Rural Radio, Channel 147. This morning's show is live, and we're taking your calls. If you have a question, call us now at 855-RR-ON-147. That's 855-776-6147 to reach our studio. Now, here's your host.
Welcome into Commodity Wrap Call-In. Today's the day, Friday. You can call us and let us know what your thoughts are. You always can text us, and that's the same number, 855-776-6147. 855-776-6147. There's a lot of numbers for you. Let's give you some more numbers. Overnight, let's see what we did in these commodities. Corn up a half cent, beans up 3/4 of a penny. Chicago wheat down 3 1/4 cents. Kansas City's down 3/4 of a penny, and we're up 2 cents in spring wheat, Minneapolis. Crude oil, that's off 40 cents, but still hanging around 77.5 cents a barrel. We got a gold board that's down $10. We've got cotton, in case you care about that, up 39 points. The equity indices are all a little bit better here. 240 better in the Dow, and about 36 better in the S&P. That, I think, is going to be really down to the fact that we've got a Treasury yield, that 10-year Treasury, that's come in almost a full percentage point here to 4.56. So that's given the green light for the equities to rally. Getting back to what's going on over there, that U.S. dollar index is a little more expensive, stronger. 108.99 is last there. So that should come in with that 10-year yield. But if that doesn't happen, that just means that the other currencies that we gauge ourselves against in that U.S. dollar index, which is there's 6 of them. Let's see if I can remember them. But the euro, the Japanese yen, Canadian dollar, British pound, Swiss franc, and the Swedish krona. That means that they've gotten weaker against our dollar, even though we've seen our 10-year yield come in. So generally speaking, when our 10-year yield comes in, our interest rates go down, our currency would get weaker, but not always the case because there are other currencies in that basket, and they sometimes move as well. Let's bring in our next guest analyst, and that's going to be Craig Bolanos. He's our Friday morning guy. I don't have it in front of me, Craig. Next Gen, what is it called? Give me the whole thing.
We're close.
I know.
Co-founder
VestGen.
and advisor at VestGen Wealth Partners.
Yeah, I know.
What a good Friday it is. I pinch myself again. I got futures markets that are green across the board. And when I look at my hard landing versus soft landing scoreboard, 5 of the 6 categories all show soft landings. So the porridge still feels just about right.
Yeah, we had it. We had an analyst on calling it Goldilocks yesterday or the day before. I can't remember now. It all goes into one. But the bank earnings were great and undeniably. And I'm not here to pick out the bad things. I'm just here to show you the whole picture. And the whole picture is this. Even though the bank earnings were great, Craig, it wasn't really bank business that was great. It was the trading. Their trading desks made a lot of money. That's not really an economic indicator. They can lose money even when the economy is doing well, or they can make money when the economy is doing poorly. I think there needs to be a little bit of the shine taken off of those earnings because most of the profits were internally generated.
Well, I mean, and that speaks to something that is so incredibly simple. The longer we stay in a pathway of elevated interest rates, they might not be elevated to you, but everyone who's been alive for the past 15 years feels they're elevated. The longer we stay there, the more we may have some degradation, and banks are going to need to make up for it inside of different areas of verticals that they can drive their profit margins to. But I do think with the PPI data we got, I do think with the CPI data we received this week, specifically what I was excited about is we finally saw a small break in that shelter component, which has been so stubborn for so long. And if that's the harbinger of good things to come, we might continue to see some CPI drops as shelter prices year over year begin to come down.
And then they cut rates and mortgages come down, more people are able to buy a house, and they shoot those shelter prices back up. What do you say about that?
Well, you know what? But it's about spurring economic activity. That's what it is. When people have to sell a house, think of all the expenses that go into prepping that house for sale. Think of all the money that goes in the economy when they move. And then think about how much they do when they go into that new house
to
turn that new house into their home. That's right. And
I just bought one here.
Sales, there you go. And with retail sales at $632 billion, that's a big number. I want to keep that party going because that's what keeps the U.S. economy going. And housing is a key ingredient for the U.S. consumer.
couple things I've been wrong about because I haven't seen them really before. Number one is I did think that I still think that part of America was in a recession, or still maybe arguably is, but we spent our way out of it. We dumped enough money into the economy that obviously we created inflation, but we also created positive GDP. And it's hard to have a negative GDP when you're putting in that much money into the economy. So that was new to me. I didn't realize you could really do that until they did it. So that's one. Well, that's probably the biggest storyline for me over the last 4 years is we bought our way out of a recession. What do you think about that?
Last time I checked, the U.S. budget deficit tells me that we actually bought our way out of recession. National debt tells me that we bought our way out of recession. The problem is I don't think they teach economics and basic fiscal math anymore, and I now think Congress thinks they can print their way out of every future economic malaise in the future, and that is dangerous when people think they have a magical prescription, a magical elixir. There is nothing magical about it. Sometimes you get lucky, and sometimes, I think good is better than lucky. So I really hope coming in to this new Congress with the new Treasury Secretary, the new this, the new that we are going to pay attention to that large issue that overhangs us, which is we cannot write as a country checks that our taxpayers can't essentially cash, and that's going to be an interesting dilemma for anybody coming into this new administration running over the next 4 years.
You're right, and right now we're at $36 trillion. If we don't do anything about it, in just under 400 days, we'll be $40 trillion in debt. So, having said that, it was nice to see the Treasury Secretary, the Treasury Secretary-elect, or Scott Bessent on the Hill yesterday when he was getting grilled from other senators. He actually covered it, and he talked about it, and he said it's unsustainable. And it's nice to have somebody at that level say something like it's unsustainable because it is. And I think that it's not a taxing issue, it's a spending problem, and he's staring at all the people that are spending the money.
You know what? And how good is it that thus far a lot of the appointees that are coming in under this new administration are speaking unfangled truth. It might not be popular. It might not hit the headlines. But when people talk about pro-growth, pro-business, less regulation, and common sense, getting away from this academic speak and working in the world of real-world speak, those are people who are on trade floors. Those are people who are forward-facing and help clients get retired and stay retired like me. Boy, it's invigorating because the tone and tenure could potentially change.
I totally agree. And the way that they get asked these questions, they're telling it like it is. So it can't even be a gotcha. It hurts to say the answer, but here it is, and it kind of keeps everybody keeps their mouth shut. Appreciate you coming on. Always love having our Fridays get kicked off with you. Thank you very much, Craig Milanos, CEO and co-founder of SGen Wealth Management in Chicago. We're going to go away and we're going to pay some bills, and we're going to come back and talk to you. Remember, 855-776-6147. You can call the show and let us know what you want to talk about. We're going to go away. We'll be right back right after this.